Hello, it's Jack Tutor here of Attention Magazine. Welcome to Crucial Listening, the podcast where I speak with musicians and sound artists about 3 albums that are important to them. My guest this time is Dean Lloyd Robinson, who makes music primarily as Knifed Out of Existence, but has loads of other stuff going on besides. Also makes noise as Playworker, runs Outsider Art, which is a label, distro, and also puts on shows. And Dean is, I think it's fair to say, a music obsessive. I always knew this one was going to be wonderful because the passion is very evident with Dean, as you'll hear. It's so great. But Dean's music as Knifed Out of Existence, to me, conjures images of rain coming down a window pane. There's this kind of smeared monochrome texture to Dean's music, and also kind of a downward energy for me. There's this gravity to it. It can get very intense. There's lots of distortion and feedback, but there's always this undercurrent of melancholy and past hauntings just lurking beneath that hiss and fizz. And it feels like the music just gets more dense and complicated the deeper that you go down. You definitely get as well the feel of coastal erosion, tape decay, things falling apart. It's gorgeous. And Dean's new EP is called Objects That Once Breathed, which is an acoustic EP, uses only acoustic sources rather to produce the sounds on the record. Lots of guitar, whispered voice, as well as violin and accordion provided by Dom James. It's beautiful. It captures that same knifed aesthetic, but with that blanket of distortion pulled back. You feel like you're seeing the innards a bit more. Dean is wicked. He's a good pal. We've been in a band together. We've played shows together. Released records together, and I just knew this one was going to be lovely. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you're enjoying the podcast generally, you can support it over at ko-fi.com/crucial listening. You can donate monthly or one-off, any amount you please. Thank you. Please do feel free to get in touch. Jack at attnmagazine.co.uk. I'd love to hear from you. And that's all for now from me in this intro. This is Dean Lloyd Robinson, Knifed Out of Existence on Crucial Listening.
It's just a fading ember from a fire that's burned before. There's nothing new under a dying sun. There's nothing new for a dying sun. Images and memories, confused and entwined. What you are, what they were, when it was, how it's been, feels intrinsic. They just exist.
Hello, Dean. Welcome to Crucial Listening.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. So you're here to talk about 3 important albums. Before we get to those, I want to talk about your music. So firstly, you've just come off a tour with Secret Boyfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
How was it?
Yeah, it was good. Secret Boyfriend is like one of my absolute favorite projects. I was kind of late to the project. I discovered it in lockdown off the back of that Noise Now Playing Facebook group, and I just saw somebody post about one of his tapes that's like, there's a folk song that goes into like a full-on noise track, and I was just like, oh, that sounds very up my street.
Yeah.
As the records that I'm going to talk about later will attest to. So I discovered Secret Boyfriend in like 2020, and then got in touch with him when he came over to play some northern shows a few years ago, and then did America with him in October. And it was like, well, yeah, get you back over, and we'll do a few more shows. So yeah, it was really, really good to get to see him play 7 sets in 6 days.
Wow.
It was a really good time. It's
Cool.
it's great to get the opportunity to see your favorite projects over and over again, and see how the sets evolve on each different date. And it's just from a nerdy fan point of view, that's always a really cool thing to do. And Ryan is just the loveliest, sweetest person, so very, very easy to tour with.
And speaking of the evolution of the set over the tour, like, did you feel that happen with your set throughout this tour? Like, say from the first gig through to the last, like, what were the things that changed for you?
I think the kind of sound systems we were playing through varied quite a lot, and like I think how well my sound worked on different PAs was quite different. So I think that I was pretty much always trying to do the same thing each night, and then it was just how different it was more in response to the sound system I was playing through, rather than it being a tour where it's like, okay, I used that loop here this night, I'm going to use that a little bit more. It was, I think that any evolution of the set on my end was just more as a result of technical things rather than artistic. On this tour, it was quite a sort of set list. It was like I played the first track off the new EP as the intro, and then I played all 3 tracks from the Tracing Roots Now Severed, the EP I did at the beginning of January, and then was closing with the solo track from the Cremation Lily split. So it's kind of it was sort of like I had a set list, and then how different they sounded was just sort of as a result of whatever speakers they were going through, really.
Nice. And was there a night where it connected best, like where the setup felt right? I guess the other way of saying that is, what was your favorite show of the tour?
I mean, I think the night that it sounded best for me was when we played Mothers in Birmingham, which is a practice room. So in the practice room we were using was like a sort of little fake stage with the PA on the back wall facing you. And for me, almost the difference between a good set and a bad set is just how loudly I'm being blasted by the monitors while I play. So the fact that the PA was pointing towards me was like, that was really good for me, and that really helped me get in the zone. I know that was a bit more of a struggle for Ryan because he does a lot more clean vocals on like the synth pop side of Secret Boyfriend stuff. So obviously having clean vocals that you don't want to feed back was I think there was nights where different sound systems worked better for us. So Mothers was probably my favorite sound wise. Bristol was really nice. There's so many good friends in Bristol. Always love playing Bristol. Will from Acts of Worship, who I've toured with before, opened the show, and that was really good. He was doing a kind of a little bit different thing where he had like a ridiculously long trail on the vocals, so it was kind of like silent for ages and then just like letting out a scream that like reverberated for like 20 seconds. And
I love that. That's great.
You like minimalism, right? I've heard vicious rumors.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Bournemouth was also fun. Like the turnout wasn't massive, but to do an outsider art show in Bournemouth again after like 8 or 9 years or whatever it was cool, and it did sound good. And Alan from Crayon came down and he was like, I think this is the first gig I've been to in Bournemouth since the last gig you put on.
Oh my god, wow.
Which is that's funny. I mean, I'm sure he hasn't been sitting around twiddling his thumbs waiting for me to do another show, but that's kind of the impression it gave. And obviously Mike and Alistair as Sword of Damocles and List of Moths opened the shows. And obviously you have you're familiar with those people, so you know.
Acquainted, yeah.
Yes.
Amazing, wicked. Here's a last tour question. So you mentioned, obviously, you tour with Secret Boyfriend. You're a fan of the project. When you're putting together your set, how much, if at all, are you thinking about who you're touring with and like maybe how your sounds may integrate, how you may play off what they're doing later in the night? Like, does that factor in at all when you're putting together a set to like go out on tour with like a specific artist?
Initially, yes. Like a lot of the time I'll be like, oh, I'm playing this show with these people, I'm doing this kind of thing, I should try and cater it to this sound or this audience or whatever. And then as soon as I'm like, oh, whoa, no, wait a minute, I'm trying to cater to somebody else when it's like a deeply personal project. And I was like, that could end up like lessening the impact. So I always initially do think that, and I'm like, right, okay, what's going to fit with this? And then I go, no, I just need to do what's the most honest for me. And then in that situation, if it's a space that makes sense for me to be in, people will hopefully connect with it regardless of what it is. So yeah, I always have that thought and then totally pull away from it and make sure that I do exactly what I think is right for me and the project, regardless of the context it's being presented in.
Okay, let's go to your new EP, which you also mentioned that you were playing one of the tracks in your recent sets as well. So Objects That Once Breathed. So the description of this release says that it's an exercise in trying to create the same emotional landscape that Knifed Out of Existence usually sits in, but with a different set of tools, or rather letting elements that are present on other releases come to the forefront while abandoning synths and feedback, with any distortion only coming from the use of cassettes and Walkmans. Firstly, why did you want to do this? Why did this feel compelling for you?
Why did I want to do Knifed Out of Existence Unplugged?
Yeah.
I think after I did the Tracing Roots at the beginning of the year, I had like a lot of kind of positive feedback about the more acoustic elements on that release. So that kind of made me want to push further in that direction. So there was that. I think there's kind of three main factors that, people responded well to the more acoustic elements on that release. I listen to a lot of acoustic music, and also like I don't think that Knifed is a power electronics project, or really ever has been, but it very much still gets called that. So the idea of me putting out an acoustic record and being like, am I still a power electronics project because this is an acoustic record? So yeah, there was that kind of like, and that sort of kind of morbid curiosity to see if people would still call an acoustic record power electronics. So I think that's kind of the sort of the main places that the ideas were coming from.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I was going to ask how challenging it was to kind of adhere to those tenets of, doing it acoustically. But as you say, it sounds like it's, in some senses, could be seen as quite an organic trajectory based on the EP that you released earlier this year. So, I mean, was it a challenge? Were there points where you're like my inclinations would say that I want to maybe bring in the synths or the feedback here, but I'm gonna hold firm? Like, what was the actual process like?
So I think I should probably say that Dom, who does Screwdriver music under their own name, Dom James, and formerly did Zyophics, who we toured with and played bass in Working Man, he was as much a part of this EP as me. Like he contributed lots of accordion and violin. He did some noisier like violin takes and like sounds of just the bellows on the accordion, and so some of the things he provided were like a lot more like noisy textures that I could put in place of the noise. So like because screeching violins, like there's, even though it's acoustic, there's that kind of similarity between like electrified feedback.
Totally.
That was another thing that was I really wanted to do with the EP, was like try and do things acoustically that did retain like a similar, sonic quality to their electric counterparts. So yeah, I think it was once I found the bits that took up the same space as those other things, it was easy enough to compile it together, being like, okay, this violin part is in place of a synth part, or like this like scratching like discordant violin replaces the feedback and that kind of thing. So once I found the pieces to replace them, I think it was easy enough. I mean, there was the first track, like I was really happy with it, and like, but after I'd put the bells on and like started listening back to it, I was like, is this actually good, or have I just made like a really bad neo folk song? Like, it's just like, it's like, is this Acoustic Knife, or is this just like Pound Shop Current 93 or something? Like,
I'd have taken both.
So I mean, people love Current 93, don't they? So I think that was, I just had to kind of be like, okay, I need to put that aside, because it's any sort of like neo folk tendencies, that wasn't in the aim of it. So if it ended up sounding like that, then that was just a coincidence. So there was a little bit of kind of ignoring any doubts and just sort of going off the couple of people I played little bits to, saying it was good, and running with it. So
awesome. And as you say, Dom was involved and provided violin and accordion. What was how did that work in terms of getting Dom's contributions? How much instruction or dialogue was there around what kind of thing you were looking for?
So initially I was just like, do any ideas that you want to do, and then it was like, I can see how I can craft those. And also the couple of the tracks I'd sent him, he was like, oh, I could do an accordion part to fit over the top of this, or there's a violin part that would fit over here. So there was, I guess it was 50-50. Some tracks were built around some things that he'd sent me, and what sounds I thought that I already had would be compatible with those. And then he also sort of added some more melody to things I'd already done. So I guess there was some of the tracks were ones that he sort of took the lead on, and then some tracks were ones that were more completed that he added to. I guess tracks that I played guitar on was, he thought of corresponding accordion or violin parts, and then stuff that was more just like field recordings or whatever, I slotted in violin parts or accordion parts that I thought fitted with that. So I guess sort of 50-50 and us prompting each other.
Nice. One more question on the EP, which is about your vocals. I can't remember which track it is because I just kind of listened to it all the way through a few times. But there's one with your voice going through, it sounds to me like 2 delays of different speeds, and it's like a really crazy sound because the way it's kind of produced, hopefully you know what I'm talking about, but the way it's produced is like kind of muffled in a way where it sounds like you're kind of screaming, but there's the processing does something to the timbre, so it sounds restrained. It's really weird. It's hard to understand whether or not you're exerting in that moment or whether it's kind of like pulled back. It's every time it comes up, my ears prick up specifically to that bit. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yes. It's the bit where the vocals are slightly more screamed, because there's only one instance of that. So that was recorded as quite a lot of my vocals have been in recent years, just with my phone on the dashboard when I'm driving.
Wow, really?
Because when I've got long drives and I'm in a box on my own, like I'm never going to get any noise complaints. So on the sat nav, I just flick up the voice note and record the vocals there. So there's been plenty of night releases that are me just screaming at the top of my voice driving along the motorway, which must look insane to anybody overtaking me, but it feels like a good space to do that. And I'm not interfering with anyone, and it's also a way to remain productive whilst I'm traveling. So, and then as for the mad like delay thing going on with that, I also, as it was screamed, I brought those vocals down because I didn't want it to like be like I'm talking and now I'm shouting. So those vocals are kind of tried to bring down to the same volume as talking. And for the delay effect, because it was supposed to be an acoustic record, I didn't want to like run it through a bunch of pedals. That there is a bit of reverb on the record because I think it would have sounded too dry without it, but otherwise there isn't any real effects. So basically what that is 3 tracks of the same vocal at varying volumes placed slightly before and after the vocal. So it was like kind of a way that I could create a delay without sticking things through a delay pedal. So yeah.
Nice.
So that part that you're speaking about is the volume brought down on vocals recorded driving in my car and then layered up at different volumes slightly out of sync for sort of like a delay effect.
Oh, that's so cool. When you're recording vocals screaming into your dashboard on the motorway, are you like, right, okay, I'm going to record vocals for this specific track that I know needs vocals, or are you just like, I'm going to load up voice notes and just let loose and then fit it in later? Or
quite a lot of the time it will be, it's like it will be something that I have if I've written something whilst I've been away and been like, okay, that's the bit for this thing. So usually it is, I mean, sometimes it'll be like, I've written like 3 lines of something and then I'll end up doing like 10 sort of kind of off the top of my head based on what I've written before. So yeah, there usually is an intention. It's not it's not completely just like recording like free association screaming down the road.
See what the M3 is giving me in terms of inspiration here.
And I think that a lot of the stuff that I've done recently was that sort of like kind of reflective and sort of about growing up and grief and etc. and whatever. Like the experience of going home always like is creates a lot of feelings about that. So I think drives back from having been home. It's I've usually, if I haven't written something whilst I've been away, it's the thoughts are there in my mind that are sort of ready to go and be screamed at the dashboard.
Amazing. I think this EP is amazing.
Thank you so much.
Such a good time with it.
That's really good. Yeah, like I really, really didn't know how people were going to react to it or not. I have actually, I mean, I can't imagine anybody would have gone out of their way to say negative things to me, but I have only had positive things said to me about it, which is very nice, because I was sort of more expecting to like put it out and then it just sort of sink without a trace because people are like, well, that was a strange thing to do. But yeah, no, I have had some people say some very, very kind things about it. So
great. Well, I'll put a link in the show notes so people can also dive in. And let's talk about some records by other people. So you picked 3 important records. At this point, I'd like to ask how you thought about the word important when picking your list. So was there a way you understood the word important in order to come up with the list of records that you did?
Yes. So 2 different ways. 2 of them I like records that are so intrinsically part of my listening that like I can't imagine not listening to them. They're records that I've like listened to on repeat for like weeks on end, and that I have like physically, and that I've then bought again on Bandcamp to make sure I can listen to them when I'm out of the house. And just like, records that are so like ingrained in my listening that I couldn't deal with life without them. So that would be Cult Ritual LP1 and Oscillating Innards and Nadir Emergence. That's the importance factor that was applied to those 2. And then the Songs of Higher record I picked, The Ghost, is picked. I mean, it is a record that I do listen to constantly, but also picked because of the way that the recording style made me think about recording, and the way sort of sound can give different context and represent different emotions and that kind of thing. So yeah, there's two different interpretations of important for across the 3 records.
Lovely. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Shall we do them in kind of like chronological order of when I got into them in my life? So do you want to do Cult Ritual LP1 first?
Yeah, let's do it. So let's start with, if you could give me a little introduction as to why this one's important to you.
So Cult Ritual, like, if push came to shove and somebody had to be like, what is your favorite hardcore band? I'd be like, the Cult Ritual is what I'd go for. Like, punk and hardcore has been like hugely important in my life. And, you know, I've played in like a lot of more punk and hardcore adjacent bands in the past. And like, this is the one record that like I always go back to. And I think it's like, it's super interesting. And it's very like, there's no questioning that it's a hardcore record, but there's enough like weird experimental stuff that it like fits in with my tastes as I've matured as well. So, or as I've matured, as I've grown up, as I've got older. So yeah, and it's kind of just everything I want from a punk record. So yeah, that's yeah.
When you say it's everything you want from a punk record, again, these things don't always lend themselves to being articulated. But what's your checklist? What are the kind of things where you're hearing in this record and you're like, that's what I want from this?
So I want kind of a sense of the band feeling like they are very much themselves, and it is, you know, this like freedom of expression, and that it isn't just obviously, you know, punk and hardcore is a very formulaic genre, and there's plenty of bands that just, you know, are by the numbers and are still great, but like when punk really does have that sense of freedom is when like it really connects with me, like Cult Ritual and like Page 99, bands that really like you can see their influences, and Cult Ritual definitely does very much wear their influences on their sleeves with the covers that they've done on other releases. But it feels that like whilst retaining enough sort of punk sonic and aesthetic, they are their own thing, and it's intriguing, and all the artwork's great. It's like big Xerox posters, screen printed sleeves, and then like there's a kind of like lyrics that I think have aged well, because they've kind of got the same sort of like, you know, punk rock, throw yourself off the stage, grab the mic nihilism to them, like like every time's the last time from now on, like that kind of thing is sort of like, that's, I don't know, it feels simultaneously just like a kind of like nihilistic teenager rant, but also it feels that, you know, as you get older and do realize that things in your life are happening for the last time as well, that kind of connects on that level as well. So
nice, yeah. So
yeah, I think it's weird and sounds like them, but not at the expense of it still sounding like it's got weirdo moments that you could stroke your chin to and be like, that's interesting, but there's moments that like you're going to want to like scream along to as well.
Yeah.
I think that's why it appeals so much.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite track?
I knew you were going to ask that. It's really hard to pick a favorite track, because I have listened to this record like back to back in succession so many times that it's, and the way that like with the more experimental moments and the field recordings and the samples and the drum, the one drum bit that anybody who's familiar with the record will know.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like the way that all bleeds into everything. But I mean, Cancer Money is just, yeah, the way the record closes is, yeah, I think if I had to pick one, yeah, Cancer Money, the closing track would be my favorite. But yeah, and also Last Time, that obviously I just mentioned, is Cancer Money or Last Time. But
yeah, wicked. The drum bit is that Saturday's Blood? I think so.
Yeah, is it? Yes, yeah. I should know that because I listened to this record inside out. But yes, yeah. It kicks into that, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, which is like so ridiculous, because obviously I heard this for the first time the other day, and I was like, "Are we just here forever? Is this just 5 minutes of just a kind of like very low tempo drum beat?" But I think also as well, the record by that point gives you the sense that things loiter in a weird space for a long time before it like kicks into something with more structure.
There's such a tension and release in this record. Like, yeah, if things are sort of quite like blunt, a sort of like more melodic part will kick in, and then with the more, obviously once the drum once the feedback does start to fade in over those drums at the end, when it does kick in, it really, really kicks in. So there's definitely a lot of tension and release and balance on the record, which I think is great. Also, I love that drums are not perfect.
No,
they go out of time, which is so good. And like to be a drummer and to play the same very simple thing with nothing distracting it for ages, and also play it wrong and then put that on your record, like I mean, that's kind of what I mean about the sort of like the kind of the punk attitude, whilst not necessarily being like drum solos aren't notoriously punk, and in fact, like, you know, in the start, that's kind of what punk was going against. So to do a drum solo in the most punk way possible is just it's so good.
Yes, it's really not a complicated beat either, and you hear it slipping out of time. You're like, mate.
And they used to do it live as well.
Oh wow!
And I've just read stuff that it was like once they kicked in after that drum bit, it was like just absolute chaos.
Oh
like,
my god, yeah. Wow.
I mean, if being as familiar as I am with the record, if I saw them and it was like, okay, this is going to go on,
yes.
And it's like, but I know what's coming next. And then I think it probably would go on long enough that you'd be like, where's that coming next?
Yeah.
And just,
Because I guess you could really toy with it live as well. You could ramp that up to like 6 minutes or something and get people absolutely chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it doesn't sound like a safe bet to put essentially a very bad simple drum solo on your hardcore record, but like, oh my god, it's so good. And just and the fact that it does slip out of time makes it more interesting, and it feels more human and more urgent.
Yeah, that track last time you mentioned as well is very strange, because that's like penultimate on the record. And is that the one that's quite crude word, I know, but like quite atmospheric? It's like quite spacious for like most of its runtime. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, I think so.
And then you go into Cancer, because obviously the A side is 6 tracks, and then the B side is just Last Time and Cancer Money. So you've got 2 tracks taking up the same length as the whole A side. So they are kind of a bit. And also it just, there's like, I know David Vaslotti, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his surname right, because he is literally one of my favorite guitarists of all time. Like, he never really uses much distortion. I know he's like anti-distortion pedal, so I kind of like that contradiction myself, that I'm like somebody who's very, very rarely played guitar without hundreds of distortion pedals, as you know, from somebody who's played in a band with me playing guitar. I like the contradiction myself, that if push came to shove and I had to name a favorite guitarist, it's a guitarist that doesn't like to use distortion. He's also the guitarist for Merchandise, who are another one of my favorite bands, whose one of their records I could have easily picked as well. And the vocalist from Merchandise also recorded this, which I think helps give it that kind of sound. And recorded by Carson Cox, and then mixed by Will Killingsworth. So it's like, people who know what's up with making a punk record sound gnarly.
Actually, what do you make of the production of it? Because what I think initially hit me is that there's actually very little low end on the record, especially when it kicks in. It's not like at least that's how it felt in my car. But some of the moments that feel the most gnarly aren't like really sort of subby. They're actually quite mid-high focused, but which works really well. What do you make of the production of it?
I absolutely love the production. Like, I don't know how familiar you are with the Youth Attack label that put it out. It's run by Mark McCoy, who formerly the vocalist in Charles Bronson and other stuff. But lots of the stuff on their label is like super, super blown out, very, very lo-fi. Like, they were certainly around the time of this were like very much known for that. Like, there's some like Raw Nerve and like Vile Gash records that are just like blown out beyond belief. But I think this is the perfect balance of it. It sounds dirty and it sounds raw, but like when there is those more melodic moments, it's not so distorted by the recording methods that things are lost, but it's like it is lo-fi enough that it gives it that kind of, I don't know, real tangible edge that in the same way that the fact that the drum solo messes up does. Like it, yeah, I think it gives it and makes it sound more real. And the fact that, because I think, yeah, like you're saying about there not being much low end, like I think that's a very easy go-to way to make a record sound heavy. It's like, oh yeah, loads of big loud bass, because that's just, big and rumbling and heavy. So like, yeah, to make something sound impactful and abrasive and without that is, I think, yeah, it's an interesting and potentially more difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love the record. I love the way it sounds. It's, yeah, I think all the right decisions were made on the production, which maybe wouldn't have been the go-to for either of the way that things were going with other hardcore records around the time. Either, yeah, like big, cleaner, bassier productions, or like the other end of the Youth Attack stuff that is incredibly like recorded in a bin level. So yeah, I think it's the perfect balance that works for the record. Yeah.
Wicked. Do you remember how you first discovered the record?
So yeah, as I say, obviously Mark McCoy has got like a long history of power violence and stuff, and around the time that I was playing in power violence bands and getting into power violence and that kind of thing, Youth Attack was sort of at its peak. So I think I'd have probably just been very aware of Youth Attack from who was running the label. And they were like a really, really big sort of hype band at one point. Like there's interviews where it's like, we couldn't sell our first 7-inch, like there's hundreds of copies still left, but as soon as we did a thing on Youth Attack, it just like sold out instantly. So like, I think they were a kind of hype band. So I think there was a lot of talk around them. And then also, I think because I was playing in a band called Witch Cult, like Cult Ritual, like I think, yeah, Witch Cult didn't sound like Cult Ritual, but like I think the fact that there was cult in the name, that like then I'd see them popping up a lot. And yeah, I think 2010 is kind of when they ended. So I think they were sort of they kind of like blew up at their peak. So I think as I was getting into it, they were at their peak. And yeah, so I can't remember really how I first heard it. There's not like a moment of like, oh yes, like I went round so and so's house and they played me that record, or like I picked it up from this shop. I think it was just there was hype about them. It was on a label of somebody who I was familiar with, and it was like, I should check it out. And I think it was kind of one of those records that it's like, you listen to it and I was like, that's really good, and then just kept going back to it until it's like, 5-6 years down the line, and I realized that like I've listened to nothing but Cult Ritual for like an entire week. So yeah, I think it was kind of like not a slow burn as in like I wasn't sure about the record to begin with, but like slow burn in like how much of my listening was taken up by it. Like it was just sort of gradually more and more and more.
Nice. When you think back to memories of listening to it, I mean, you've probably got loads of these, obviously, because as you say, it's been on rotation for a long time. But what specific memories get kicked up of listening to this record? Like when you think back to what listening to this record looked like, are there experiences that pop back into your head?
I definitely remember when I worked at a shop in Brighton, like finishing my shift and like putting the Cult Ritual like discography on my iPod, which I lost on a bus a few years later. R.I.P.
No.
Yeah, I miss it. Just like putting like I mean I hated that job. So like walking out and like Brighton Punk was really, really good at that point, but listening to that and just being like, oh, I wish there was some stuff a little bit more like this though. Like, and just, I don't know, just walking out of work and being sick of work and putting that in my headphones and just being like, yeah, this is it. And then it finishing and it being like, what shall I listen to next? It's like, oh, I'll just listen to that again. And then like, going for a walk and listening to it like 4 times. That's one memory that I don't know why that particular one day of work, walking out of work and listening to it however many times in a row sticks in my mind. But that does. And then I think the first time getting the actual physical LP of it, because as I said, like a lot of Youth Attack stuff was quite hyped for a while, so a lot of the stuff ended up being a bit more expensive and harder to get in the UK. But I did manage to find the version that comes on, like, it's a big like hardboard sleeve that's like the alternate cover screened on the front, and then the track list screened on the back, that comes with a big like, it's like like 24 by 24 inch like fold out Xerox poster of the and image on the front, and then like lyrics on the back. So I think the first time I got the LP and like could spin it and like actually like read all the like Xerox lyrics in front of me, like that added another layer to it, because I had a lot of the 7-inches at that point, which are all also beautiful artwork. There's one record that's like a balaclava folded over, and it's like the eyes are cut out, and then when you take it out, the eyes are on a huge fold out poster that's all like intricate pen and ink drawing around the eyes. And then there's a 7-inch that they did where they cover Death Valley 69 by Sonic Youth, and then all the artwork is like Xerox, like Manson girls and stuff, which obviously, like, say what you will about the use of Charles Manson in alternative music and stuff, but like with a record covering a song that references Manson and stuff, it looks great. So I think there's just listening to it in my headphones after a job I hate, and then just being like, there's nothing more I want to listen to right now, always sticks in my mind, and then sitting down and getting to like experience the physical side of it as well. I think that those are two particular memories that stick in my mind.
All right, shall we go to your second important album?
Yes, I think I've probably chewed your ear off about Cold Ritual enough now.
That's great.
All right, Oscillating Innards Nadir Emergence.
Yeah, give me a little introduction as to why this one's important to you.
So I first heard Oscillating Innards on that. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a documentary called People Who Do Noise.
I haven't, but I discovered it on the back of looking into how you got into this record, so I'm going to watch it at some point.
Cool. So I think as I was first getting into noise, I watched People Who Do Noise a lot, and there's a lot of very interesting perspectives and stuff, and like not every project that's featured in that documentary is necessarily to my taste, but all of it is very interesting and very engaging. And the Oscillating Innards performance in that is like the one that always connected with me. Like it's super short, and it's very much just like bursts of microphone feedback over the noise, and it's like just throwing himself into it. And I was just like, whoa, that one is really, really special. And I remember listening to Nadir Emergence off the back of that and being like, this record is incredible. And then I sort of didn't forget about it, but it kind of went on the back burner for a little bit. And then when I restarted, when I started to do distro stuff through the label in lockdown, it was just as Tronics was restarting their activity, which is Phil Blankenship from the Cherry Points label, if you're not familiar.
Nice.
And he started doing the labels, and there was like he had, as well as the new stuff he was doing, he was selling off a bunch of old releases, and I got in the distro his last like 3 or 4 copies of Nadir Emergence, and I was like, oh yeah, brilliant, now I finally got one of these for myself. And I just re-listened to it, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, that was like the perfect record, and kind of realized how much of that stuff having heard it when I did that I've sort of like unconsciously drawn on. And then like the Cult Ritual record, it just became something that's like, as soon as that record finished, it was like, what should I put on next? And it's like, I don't know what could be better right now. And yeah, that CD is sat in my car, and I've done like 3+ hour drives with that, just going round and round and round, because it's just been like, I don't want to listen to anything more. And like I said earlier about Knife not being a power electronics thing, I very much think that this is a noise record that has vocals on it that isn't power electronics, which I think is quite I think there's a very distinct difference between those two things. Like I'm not like a genre purist or whatever, but like I think a lot of power electronics has a very specific intent and doesn't always necessarily appeal to me. And whilst this is a noise record that has a lot of vocals on it, it doesn't feel like a power electronics record to me. And I really, really like it for that.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more about that. What is it about the fact that it's like got vocals but it isn't a power electronics project? Because actually I was going to ask you about this, because I don't know if this is weird, but I was looking up like to see if I could find anywhere you mentioned this, and I found a post on Scream and Writhe where you said that noise that works in vocals without necessarily sounding like PE is one of the best things in the world for me.
Yes. You've nardwared me there, digging up things I've said on noise forums.
It's bad, isn't it?
Though having obviously listened to lots of the podcasts, things people have posted on forums has definitely been that's a reoccurring theme with you, isn't it?
Yes, so, it's a bit of a You got to watch what you post. It will come back.
I mean, I guess Scream and Writhe is a more recent board, so I think probably most things that are on there are probably still my opinions, because they're probably only from 3 years ago at the most.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the question before we started talking about forums?
So tell me a bit more about why it's so appealing, like the fact that it's freed of that power electronics aesthetic. What is it about the fact that it's like vocals within noise but not power electronics that really brings it for you?
Yes, I think like because I have sung in bands before and stuff, vocals is something I've always, there's always been a interest and focus on vocals for me. So I really like that. But a lot of power electronic stuff feels it's very like outward focused and is like reliant on a reaction and getting a reaction from people, and it's reliant on an audience, whereas the way the vocals work on Oscillating Innards, it feels very personal. It feels like he's very much reflecting his experiences, and it's like his voice pops up in relation to certain field recordings or certain sounds, and it sort of like bleeds in, and it all feels very inwards looking, and it doesn't it doesn't feel like throbbing or industrial in the way like a power electronics record does. So I think it's the way that it feels very emotional and very inward looking, and that it doesn't feel industrial, like leaves behind that any sort of like power electronics feel that vocals and noise can provoke.
It's interesting you discovered this project back when you were getting into noise. Tell me a bit more about that. Like when was this?
So this would have probably been sort of as my investment in noise was ramping up, and as I was starting to, like, as punk bands I was in were splitting up. So I guess I think I would have probably seen people who do noise somewhere between 2010 and 2013. Like I started doing Knifed in 2013, and I would have watched people who do noise before I was a person who did noise. So yeah, I think it would have been somewhere around that period, and it probably was just simply just looking on YouTube for documentaries and stuff about noise to learn more about it. So I think it was, and then like I say, that Oscillating Innards performance in that really really connected with me, because I think had a growing interest or growing fascination or growing obsession with noise, but still like the idea of like throwing yourself around with a microphone. So that his performance, where it is very much noise and him really, really going for it vocally, like I was kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing I'm into. That the way that was presented, had a much more connected with me, much more than, I don't know, something like, I don't know, like Mersbo, that's like purely textural, or like the shock value of like sort of White House, or something like other things that are the kind of entry points for lots of people. Like I think that oscillating in its performance connected with me in a way that was, I guess, relevant to my interests and relevant in the way I wanted to do things more.
Yeah. It's also interesting, I guess, thematically. I saw him talking about what this record is centered on, and it's like, he said it's mostly based on getting hit by a car, ending a relationship based on my inability to ever be a father figure, and a massive fire that happened across the garden from my old house one early morning. So that's something that, say, wouldn't ever feature in the remit of, say, like one of those entry-level noise bands. I guess it's something that has a lot more like, as you say, personal and kind of like a melancholic content as well, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just like looking at the few lyrics that are printed on the sleeve now, and it's like, beneath salad orchards, spread sweet shed secrets, breathe sour art, breathe meaningless, nadir emergence, like cancer's silent toil, discreet truths, blooming grey. Like it's
Yes.
it's so up my street. Also, just I have read that interview, and having you listed them like that, that's really weird. Some of the parallels of things in Knifed, because there's Flames of Grief that like reflects on the big fire that happened on Camford Heath a couple of years back.
Wow.
That like the first Knifed album, Immaturity of Movement, like the picture on the cover is me as a child after a bike accident, and like just there's actually lots of weird parallels between what prompted him to do this record and things that I've drawn on in Knifed. So I guess I always find it interesting when you subconsciously obviously pick up on things that people are expressing in a similar way to you. So that's I guess freaks are drawn to freaks, aren't they? So
it's true. It's true. Sonically as well, this record's just really interesting, because I think because of that kind of thematic content, it's not just like an all-out noise record. It's not like just this complete outward blast. There are some moments of just like really prolonged kind of drone or hidden details that kind of just like drag at that cathartic quality and make it something that just feels more inward and like not just strictly sort of outward. There's definitely the sense of something kind of repressed or restrained. Sonically, like, what is it about the record that makes it the one for you?
Well, I think like you say, with things sounding repressed, because there's that piano loop that does like, that's so beautiful, that does kind of like go away, and then I can never tell if it's a very similar piano loop or like the same piano loop like processed or whatever, but like comes back later, and like the idea of like, I guess, like feelings being pushed down and then bleeding back up, that there's this kind of like the noise rises and then things disappear and things emerge again. I think that's the way the record is presented. And I know it's split into 3 parts on the Bandcamp, but the CD is just like one long piece. So I've always viewed it as
interesting.
It was only when as I mentioned in the intro, like having to buy it on Bandcamp to make sure I could listen to it when I was out of the house. That only then I realised that it was split into 3 pieces. I would be interested to know what the motive to change the way it was presented for the digital was. The sonic quality and like those piano loops are so beautiful, and like Gordon Ashworth like went on to expand that sound a lot more with the Concern, the project he did after Oscillating, and also the stuff he's done under his own name. So yeah, I also like that it kind of hints at where he would go in the future. So yeah, I think it's there's something, I think interesting about it being a sort of time and place record for him, but it's obviously, referencing the past, and that also hints at the future. And yeah, the bursts of absolute raging, like crackling, seething vocals, like versus the like more subdued emotional, like emotional in a different way, piano parts and field recordings, like it really gives it an emotional flow, and the sound and the contrast like really helps hammer home that point. And I don't think that anything ever lingers too much, and I don't think anything ever isn't around for too often. And I think the first time when I was on tour and I played it to Mike and Alistair, because neither of them have heard it, they were I think they were kind of like shocked at sort of the different territory it covered in like quite a short space of time. Like I think within the first 5 minutes, it does actually change quite a lot, despite the fact it is like, one sort of big, long building, slow burn piece. So I think it's what it manages to do with time is really interesting, and nothing ever outstays its welcome or doesn't feel like it's used to its full potential.
But it doesn't sound like he's rushing either, or like, it's not frantic. So when you think of, again, this is probably one which has got like loads of different experiences and memories stapled to it, but when you think of listening to this record, what kind of memories or experiences come to mind?
That getting that distro package from Tronics and then putting it on the stereo, like during lockdown, when I had a little loft conversion room in the house I was living in during lockdown. Up in that little loft room, opening my distro package from Tronics and being like, oh yeah, listen to Oscillating Innards for the first time in a while, and like just putting it on and being like, oh god, yeah, this might literally be the best noise record ever. Like that is my primary memory of, like, rather than the first listen, whenever that would have been, that kind of the revisit of it and the reminder that just why it was that Oscillating Innards always stuck in my mind. Just putting that CD on and being like, oh my god, and then obviously just hitting play again. That's that and the drives where it's just been like just in my CD drive for like weeks on end. Those are the things that I associate it most with it.
Wicked. Doesn't that blow your mind though? I have this, and obviously it makes total sense because you change as a person and things hit differently. But when you hear something for like the second time and you're like, this is the best thing ever, and then you reflect on the fact there was an earlier listen where you were like, yeah, that was good. Anyway, I'm going to listen to something else now, and you're like, how? With these sounds, was it not just like, was my mind not blown instantly?
Yeah, it's like, it's given that in those years my noise listening only like ramped up more, and I love this record so much, and like don't go a week or sometimes even a day without listening to it now. The fact that there was a period between when I first heard it and now that I didn't really listen to it at all is mind-blowing. Because as I said, the importance factor that I applied to this one was, as well as it being influential on me, is the fact that it is one record that I couldn't do without listening to. So yeah, it is very strange that I was happy to sort of let it go on the back burner and not be something that I thought about for a while. But maybe it was also because it came out on CD, and for a long time I wasn't really a CD buyer. And I mean, I'm a full CD convert now. Most of my listening's CD these days. But I guess maybe not having the physical just let it slip by the wayside easier. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It definitely was on my iPod, so no excuses.
shall we go for record number 3?
Yes, yeah. Let's end on a cheery note.
Yeah.
Let's bring the tone up with some toe tapping
Let the
tunes.
sun shine in. Oh, lovely. So this is, as you said, Songs Are Higher, The Ghost, released in 1999 on Secretly Canadian. Was that the original label it came out on as well, or it's just a tour?
So yeah, it was initially a tour release, and then I know Secretly Canadian did a repress, but I'm not sure if
Right.
Secretly Canadian also did the tour only version as well. But yeah, it was a tour only version, and the repress was definitely Secret Canadian. But the tour press may have been Secret Canadian as well.
Gotcha. So as before, if you could give me a little introduction as to why this one's important to you, Dean.
So this record is the record that he recorded, I think, in one day on a boombox. So it's super, super lo-fi, and it just really feels like capturing a moment. And you can hear the hiss and you can hear the machine, like to the point that if you wanted to rectify this record and you recorded the guitars and vocals clean, you'd have to spend time recording noise parts to fit in to make it sound like this. And the way that sometimes the vocals sort of blow everything out, presumably just the way he's moved and is now closer to the microphone on the boombox. And it just, everything about it very much makes you aware that it is a recording rather than it being like his songs to listen to. It's like, it very much feels like his recordings. It feels like it could just be like, somebody's home tape that you could like find in a charity shop or a car boot sale or something. Like you can't, the recording quality doesn't allow you to separate it from the fact that it is a man in a room. Also the fact that obviously Jason Molina is no longer with us makes it feel like, I think there's lots of talk about hauntology at the moment and stuff, and it does seem to be like quite a well discussed topic, which I think is probably reflective of the times. But yeah, I think there's a lot of very like hauntological qualities about it. It's like the fact that it sounds like something being captured, and also between the notes and between the voice and stuff, there's obviously all this so much noise, so it's capturing something else that's in the room. And the fact it is called The Ghost and it's made by a dead man, like there's a real like haunted quality to it. Like all those extra layers are born of the fact that it's simply recorded on a boombox, and like obviously these would be like very sort of evocative songs because Jason Molina was such a powerful songwriter and had such a way with words. But like the fact that it's, I don't know, captured on tape a dead man's voice with the, I don't know, are those ghosts that you're capturing between the songs as well? Like it certainly adds an extra element, a real kind of haunted vibe to it.
Do you remember how you first discovered it?
So I definitely remember when I first got played Songs Are Higher. It was when I quite a few years ago now, I went to Calgary to play a couple of shows around the Garbage Days Fest, and I stayed with Matt and Connor, who run Alt Void, and their friend Chris. And we were just, when we were listening to music, I remember one of them played Songs Are Higher and I'd not heard it. I wish I knew which of the three people played it so I could credit them correctly. But yeah, and I just remember being like, whoa, this is kind of like, I'm not sure. I'm also not even sure what Songs Are Higher record it was, but I was just like, oh, this is kind of like lo-fi Neil Young. Like Neil Young's like, ever since I was like young, Neil Young's been very important for me and has also only grown in importance. So yeah, I was like connected. I think, yeah, initially I was like, oh, okay, cool, like something a bit lo-fi from the 90s that's Neil Young adjacent, like I need to get into that. And then it was, yeah, kind of thing that I like that and need to check out more. And then I think I kind of probably heard some of the bigger Songs of Hire records and was kind of a casual listener to them. And then it was just, I think probably in like looking up other records, it's like, oh, The Ghost recorded straight to tape, like arguably too lo-fi for fans only. And like, I mean, and that just appealed to me more. And I was like, oh, I need to check that one out. Like, well, again, with referencing Neil Young, like the fact that there's a Neil Young noise record, like that was the most exciting thing in the world to me when I found that out. So to find out that
There's a Neil Young noise record?
You've not heard the Neil Young noise record?
No.
Oh, so there's a box set called Arc Weld, which is a live recordings of one of the Crazy Horse tours from the early 90s, I believe, with dates with Sonic Youth. And then I can never remember which way round it is. Either Weld is the 2-disc live record, and then Arc is the noise, or vice versa. But yeah, it is all the feedback from the live records edited into one piece with like bits of percussion coming in and like bits of vocals coming in and out. And it was born off the fact that I think Neil Young had a video camera on one of the Sonic Youth tours that had like a compressor mic that like really blew stuff out. And I think Thurston Moore was like, oh, the way that that's doing stuff to the live sound is really cool. You should do something with that. And then I think that was the prompt for Neil Young to do that record.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, guitar feedback with the lyrics to Like a Hurricane slowly fading in over the top, like that's like somebody looked at my listening and went, yo, what would be the most Dean thing in the world? So yeah, I mean, I probably could have chosen that. And I'm so glad that you don't know the Neil Young record, the Neil Young noise record, because when I can drop on somebody who is into noise that there's a Neil Young noise record and they're not familiar with it, it feels like I've done a service to the world.
I thought you were joking.
No.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, okay, right. I'll listen to that later. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, please let me know what you think, because I think it's great.
I had to interrupt your flow to ask about that, but you were saying that, yeah, you found this record that was like for the fans, recorded to boombox. You knew there's a Neil Young noise record. I don't know if there's any more components to that, how you got acquainted with the Ghost.
I think it was just the kind of, because I think on like, I don't know, Rate Your Music or whatever, like horrible music review websites like that, people are like, oh, it's like virtually unlistenable, like some of his most boring songs ruined by low production values or whatever, that kind of thing. And it's just like, I think there's some of his best songs that are elevated into a different world, or like, well, I mean, if we're wanting to like hammer home the ghostly feel of it into a different realm or a different, level of existence, like, and I think it definitely isn't worse than his other records. It's like, it's a whole other thing, and it brings so much. I just mean, like, well, I mean, the idea of sad acoustic songs with tape hiss, like that already appealed to me. So I think it was just, and then when I listened to it, I was like, oh yeah, this isn't the awful record that, or at least isn't the awful record to me that other people are saying it is. It's like, it's everything I want it to be. And I think in fact it's probably more what I want Songs of Hire to be than a lot of other Songs of Hire, rather than people's opinions that it's taking away from what those other records have.
What's interesting is that people also do take aim, as you mentioned, about they take aim at the songwriting too, or as if like the songs are lesser or more like mundane than other Songs of Hire records. I have not listened to loads of Songs of Hire. but do the songs kind of like feel different in terms of like kind of compositionally to other records?
I mean, I suppose it definitely feels different compositionally to like full band records or whatever, because
Yeah.
obviously it's very, very much a solo record. But like, I don't think it's lacking the songwriting quality that the other songs have. And there's just some of the lyrics that like work so well in the context of this recording. Like, I don't, because this literally could be just, oh, I'm recording these new songs to tape to have a record of them. Oh, we're going on tour, need it. We need something for tour. I could use that. So it's like,
Yeah.
it could just be as throwaway as that, and then because of the way it sounds, you end up reading so much into it, or like it's like, was that conscious? I mean, obviously, I don't imagine he was recording it thinking about people listening to the tape once he was dead. But like there's that one line where it's like, she whispered a future lover's name, which so he knows that he's not going to be her lover for forever, but also he somehow knows who her future lover is, which kind of gives the sense that he has the knowledge that he won't always be there, and also he's working on a different time scale to the one, like a linear time scale. And it's like, and then the record also opens with like, I now belong here, and it's like he is that ghost trapped on that tape amongst that static. And yeah, it's just, and also, yeah, obviously this could all be absolute nonsense, because there's every chance, and also more likely, that it is just, I need to get these songs down. And like, I know that he was somebody who wrote songs every day and like viewed writing songs as a job, because I know that he said he felt guilty that like he could write songs for a living whilst other people had to be like bin men or whatever. And it's like, why does what I do have any more value than collecting people's rubbish and that kind of thing? So it could be just that this was an exercise of like, got to get these songs down today. I'm not in the studio, all I have is this. But I don't know, it feels like he was trying to do something different, but that could also just be the passage of time in combination with the recording methods.
Yeah, that's the lovely thing. It all gets muddled, doesn't it? Because it's like, you can't help but know the aftermath, and it gets very tangled when you're considering what was known prior as well, because you're like, you can't re-access that naivety. But there's a line in it as well, I'm gonna mangle it, I can't remember the exact thing, where he's like, everything I love is here with me tonight, and then he's corrects, and he's like, everything I wish, or I wish, I can't, fuck.
Everything I've ever loved is here with me tonight.
Yes.
Yeah,
and then he corrects, and he's like, everything I wish was here, or like, I don't know, basically he's saying that actually he desires for everything he loves to be there. And so there's this strange like moment of correcting what is actually present, and it sort of becomes something that's there but not, and he's sort of not 100% sure on.
Yeah, almost like one is the voice of Jason Molina recording in that moment, and then one is the voice of the ghost,
Yeah, exactly that.
I mean, it might just be my warped brain having spent too much time reading about hauntology and like watching 70s British ghost riddled TV and stuff, but like, just it's called The Ghost. It's like, it's really hard to not view it as like with some kind of like haunted quality. Like,
100%. Yeah. Have you seen Sapphire and Steel?
That's like my most recent obsession. I'm just about to start assignment 4. I've like binged the first 3. I binged the first 3 seasons assignments just before I went on tour. I am currently watching Sapphire and Steel. That's
shit.
A very 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 poignant thing for you to reference.
I think the 4th one is A Man Without a Face, isn't it?
Yes, which I think a lot of people view as their favorite, don't they? So
okay, it just came into my head when we we're talking about this.
Obviously that's shifting things and people existing in the same time spaces, and that's obviously very 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 that vibe.
Yeah. With the Ghost, another thing I think is like it's recorded direct to a boombox, which I think in my head I was like, oh yeah, that's going to sound like a bit janky, but there is something really amiss with this boombox. Like that.
Oh,
what is going, like when the noise fades up, you're like, that sounds so gruesome.
yeah, like there's also bits where you can definitely, it sounds like the tape sort of like the wow and flutter is like very impactful. Like it obviously had a very very noisy motor, and either was like chewing the tape a little bit whilst it was recording, or maybe the batteries were running out or something. Like, because like you say, it's even for a straight to tape recording, it's pretty mangled.
Yeah. When you think back over memories listening to this record, what kind of experiences come to mind?
Just always that idea of what a straight to tape recording can capture. That like how much that idea has stayed with me. Sort of like obviously, I'd recorded stuff to tape before I'd heard this record, but like what recording stuff just with a like portable tape player in the middle of the room can capture. Like that kind of like sort of little light bulb moment really sticks with me. I played a show in Iceland a few years ago, and when my friend that I was staying with and playing shows was out at work, I like recorded a little bit of stuff on his like kids like little ukulele on on just one of the like portable tape players I'd bought to play for those shows. And it was like, I remember thinking that like for what I was intending to record that for, I was like, I want this little bit of recording here to really have the same quality that the Ghost does. So
nice.
So I think that's the kind of light bulb moment of like, I mean, it sounds very obvious of just like, oh, that recording technique has that impact on it. But it I don't know if it felt like a much more profound moment, and then like there being specific moments of like trying to record something in a way that would capture it. Yeah, I think those are the kind of the light bulb moment, and recording that little kid's guitar in Iceland are the sort of those are kind of the two memories. Even though one of those isn't actually associated with listening to the record, it's like associated with the repercussions of listening to the record.
Okay, Dean, I've got a couple more questions for you. Where do you tend to buy music generally?
A lot of what I buy is stuff I get in for the distro. So like, I stock labels that I like. So a lot of the time it'll be like keep a personal copy for myself. So lots of stuff I get is from distros, and then also, just trading with friends and picking stuff up at shows. Stuff that like more mainstream stuff that I like Neil Young and whatever, that will be a lot of picking stuff up at car boot sales and in charity shops and that kind of thing. Obviously when there's new releases that I really want that wouldn't be necessarily stuff that I get from the distro, I'll pick that up online. And then for when I'm hunting down Cult Ritual rarities and merchandise rarities, that will be a Discogs thing. But so direct from labels when there's something I'm really excited for keeping personal copies for stuff from the distro that I really want to listen to, and charity shops and trading with friends, I guess, are probably the main sources of places I get music from.
Wicked. And I'm really interested actually to ask you this question, and maybe there isn't a explicit answer, but do you have a favourite format?
Right now, favorite format is CD, just because vinyl is like so prohibitively expensive right now. It's not a goer. And then the fact that CD I can listen to on the stereo I have in my little studio room, for want of a better word. I can listen to that on the little boombox that I can, have in the lounge or have in the bedroom, and I can listen to stuff in my car. Like at the moment, just for the sheer convenience, CD is the most practical listening thing, just because it's usually the most affordable, and I can listen to it in the most places.
Yeah.
But obviously, everything I've said about the way tape makes things sound, obviously, and most of what I release on the label is on tape. Like tape is also like, as much as an instrument as a format is like really, really important to me, and also it's an analog thing that you can still do very simply at home. So I think, tapes also hold a very special place in my heart, not only for just the format and how they sound, but for like what they represent and the fact that they can, be used as an instrument. And obviously playing slowed down tapes is a huge part of the sound of what I do as well. And they are kind of this like DIY little thing that's been such a part of underground culture for so long. So it's like, I really like CDs as a very good listening format that is easy and cheap to get hold of. And then I love tape for so many qualities beyond it just being a listening means, like what they represent culturally and what they can be used for as in the way of creation as well.
Good answer. Okay, last question. What's something that you've picked up recently or been listening to recently that has really taken your fancy?
Ooh, what have I got recently that actually, saying I don't buy vinyl much anymore, I did actually buy the first LP I bought in ages recently, which was a LP by a hardcore band from Leeds called Mother Nature, which a guy called Liam Fox sings in, and he previously sang in a band called Perspex Flesh and played guitar in like a fast power violence-y adjacent band called Closure before that. Perspex Flesh and Mob Rules are probably the like two UK hardcore bands that were as close to doing for me what Cult Ritual does. Mother Nature kind of is the sort of the closest thing I think he's done to Perspex Flesh in a while. So it's cool to see another Leeds band emerging and sort of continuing down that path. So Mother Nature is something I picked up recently that I really liked. Off the back of seeing Page 99 and listening to lots of Songs of Hire, it's like I should probably listen to the folky side project of Page 99. So I've been listening to a lot of Pygmy Lush, and they've got a new old record coming out. Like I think it was recorded like 2016, but it's only just being released now. I definitely listened to that single a lot when it came out, and looking forward to giving the full thing a proper listen when I grab the CD. And the new Planning for Burial came out the other day, and Planning for Burial is such a super important project for me. And that was like, I remember like waking up on the day of release and like listening to that on Bandcamp at like 8 a.m. And I can't remember the last time that like a record came out and I was like, I need to listen to this as soon as possible on release day. So I'm actually still yet to pick up the CD, but I will be doing that very soon. I might get that sent to a friend in America to bring over or something to save on postage costs, or see if there's any decent UK distro floating about for it. But I haven't actually bought that one yet, but I will do soon. That was just a new record from Planning for Burial is just such an exciting concept. And Planning for Burial, like I said, along with Merchandise, is another project that I could have definitely picked a record for this conversation.
Nice. Oh, Dean, this has been wicked. Thank you.
It's been lovely. I really like talking about music. So this Yeah, this is a dream. I think this is probably as close as I'll get to doing a like what's in your bags.
There you go. I have a penchant for talking about music too, and this has been like a very lovely instance of one of those chats. Love, like I say, Objects That Once Breathed is wicked.
Thank
People,
you.
please do check it out, and I'll also be listening to that Neil Young noise record pronto. So
Yes,
appreciate that.
Please do, and let me know your thoughts, because I think it's a masterpiece. And
Wicked.
again, and like people saying the songs are higher thing is unlistenable. It's like, they think that that's an
I was
unlistenable
gonna
mess, and
say,
this and
yeah.
the and like actually, I probably should have mentioned Flux of Pink Indians. The fucking cunts treat us like pricks. Hopefully, we're allowed to swear on it here. Like
Absolutely.
that's. Have you heard that record?
No.
It's like if Crass made a record for Broken Flag. It's like the most noisy, unbelievably discordant anarcho-punk record you've ever heard, and so many punks absolutely hate that. And obviously, when I heard about that, I was like, super noisy, unlistenable anarcho record. I was like, yes. So I think there's definitely this kind of thing of like somebody doing something to the point that lots of people that are into their project think it unlistenable.
Yeah.
Appeals to me. And then I suppose my way of doing that is with the fact that I already made unlistenable noise was to try and make an acoustic record.
Love it. Cool. Dean, thanks so much. It's been
You are absolutely
wicked.
welcome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to chat about all these things, because
Sure
I love
thing.
them.
Yeah. To everyone listening, see you next time. Goodbye.